The building was old, older than anyone living in it. Tall ceilings, brass elevator doors that creaked like they were signed, and hallways lit by bulbs with a soft orange glow. Maya and Grant moved into apartment 5C on a rainy Thursday. It was quiet, comfortable, the kind of place where time slowed down. They didn't ask why the rent was low. They were just happy to have found it. The neighbors were friendly in a quiet, distant sort of way. No one ever made noise. The halls always smelled like old wood and cinnamon tea. For the first few days, it was perfect. Until Grant noticed something strange. He was taking out the trash when he saw it. A door. At the far end of the hallway, near the elevator, one he hadn't noticed before. It was flush with the wall, painted the same faded green, and easy to miss. No number. No knob. Just a tiny brass keyhole at eye level. Grant stood there for a moment. Strange. He'd passed that spot a dozen times. The hallway always ended with a fire extinguisher case and a dusty mirror. But now, there was a door. He reached for it. Pressed his palm against the surface. Cold. Solid. The mirror was still there, too, but in its reflection, the door wasn't. That night, he told Maya. She laughed. "You've been watching too many ghost documentaries." He smiled, but didn't press it. The next day, it was gone. Just wall. Like nothing had been there. But 2 nights later, it came back. And this time, someone knocked. The knock was soft. Not loud. Not urgent. Just 3 slow taps. Knock, knock, knock. Grant was in the hallway, walking back from the laundry room. It was just past midnight. The lights overhead buzzed faintly. The hall was empty, silent, except for those 3 knocks. He froze. They came from the door. The door without a number. The one that wasn't supposed to be there. He took a cautious step forward. No one else was around. No voices. No TVs. Just the knock echoing in his mind. He stood in front of it. The surface looked smooth, old, and untouched. Dustless. He whispered, "Hello?" No answer. He leaned slightly closer. From the other side, a voice whispered back, "You see me now." He staggered backward, pulse pounding in his ears. No more sound. No more knock. The hallway was empty again, and when he turned around to run for the elevator, it was gone. No elevator doors. No fire extinguisher. Just a wall stretching endlessly in both directions. Like the building had rearranged itself. He spun around to find his way back to the apartment. The door was gone too. Just smooth, green wall. He ran. Eventually, after what felt like hours of looping corridors and stairwells that led nowhere, he found apartment 5C. He burst in, out of breath. Maya looked up from the couch. "Where were you?" Grant could barely answer. He turned to show her the hallway, to prove it. But when they opened the door, everything was normal again. Elevator. Mirror. No extra door. Later that night, long after Maya had fallen asleep, Grant sat up in bed. The room was quiet. Too quiet. He reached for his phone to check the time. 12:04 a.m. And under the bedroom door, a sliver of light. A warm glow. Coming from the hallway. And the sound of someone breathing. Not outside the apartment, but inside it. Grant held his breath. The light under the door wasn't flickering like a lamp or a bulb. It was pulsing. Soft. Slow. Like a heartbeat. And the breathing on the other side of the bedroom door, it wasn't Maya's. Hers was steady, quiet, rising and falling in sleep beside him. This was deeper. Wetter. Like lungs that hadn't filled in years. He slid out of bed, barefoot on the cold wood floor, and crept toward the door. Every step made the breathing pause, like whoever was out there was listening too. He pressed his ear against the wood. Silence. Then, a whisper. "You forgot to lock the hallway again." He flung open the door. The apartment was dark. Moonlight spilled through the windows. The hallway outside was normal. No glow. No voice. Nothing. Except the bathroom light was on. Grant walked toward it, every instinct screaming for him to turn back. Inside, the mirror was fogged over, like someone had just stepped out of a hot shower. But neither of them had used the bathroom that night. And there, in the fog on the mirror, written in long, uneven strokes, "Room 5D isn't empty." Grant blinked. He wiped the mirror clean with his sleeve. But now he was looking at two reflections. His, and someone behind him. He spun around. No one there. Just the empty bathroom. He didn't sleep that night. The next morning, he checked the building directory near the mailbox. There was no room 5D. There never had been. Every floor ended at 5C. But that night, after Maya went to bed, Grant walked back down the hallway. Just to check. Just to make sure. And this time, he saw it clear as day. A door across from his apartment. One that hadn't been there before. Marked in black, faded numbers. 5D. He stood in front of it for a long time. Room 5D. It hadn't been there the day before. It wasn't on the floor plan. And yet, here it was. A door like any other. Except something about the number felt off. Like it wasn't printed or nailed in, but grown out of the wood. The metal plate shimmered slightly under the hallway light, like it didn't belong in this world. Grant reached out. His fingers brushed the doorknob, ice cold. He turned it. It opened. No resistance. No sound. Just space. Inside was darkness. Not the kind you get when the lights are off. The kind of darkness that absorbs light. That doesn't reflect. That waits. He stepped in. The air changed behind him. The hallway vanished. The door was gone. Now he stood in a long, windowless room, lit by a single flickering bulb swinging slowly from the ceiling. The walls were lined with doors. Each one looked different. Some were cracked. Some melted at the edges. Some had chains. One looked like it was breathing. And from behind each door came a sound. Laughter. Crying. Humming. Static. His own voice. Grant turned around, but the door he came through had disappeared. Then a speaker crackled above him. A voice came through. Maya's voice. "Grant? Are you still in the hallway? You forgot your keys again." His heart dropped. "Please open the door. I know you're in there." "I can't get in," Grant shouted. "I'm here. Maya, I'm here." No response. Only one door in the hallway opened on its own, creaking wide like a mouth. Inside was his apartment. Exactly as he left it. Except Maya was standing in the kitchen, smiling, but her eyes were glowing faintly gold. Grant took a cautious step toward the open door. The room beyond looked identical to their apartment, down to the crooked rug by the kitchen table and the coffee mug he'd left on the counter. But something was off. Maya stood there in her pajamas, exactly like she had the night before. Her hands were still. Her chest didn't rise or fall. And her smile didn't reach her eyes. "I made tea," she said softly. "Do you want some?" Grant's voice trembled. "Maya, is that you?" She tilted her head. "You always forget your keys, Grant." She stepped toward him. That's when he saw it. Behind her, in the hallway of this false apartment, another version of himself. Standing still, face turned toward the wall, fingers twitching. "You don't live here anymore." Both voices said at once, Maya's and his own. The world bent inward. The walls began to ripple like water. The light bulb overhead burst. Grant turned and ran. Back through the hallway of doors, slamming one shut, opening another. Each room was a broken version of places he'd been. His childhood bedroom, with no windows. His school gym, where all the lockers bled from the hinges. A hotel hallway that never ended. He ran until his lungs burned. Until he slammed through one final door and collapsed onto cold tile. Light poured in from a high window. He was in a bathroom. His bathroom. His real one. Back in apartment 5C. The mirror was fogged. He stepped toward it, trembling. Wiped the glass with one hand. And saw his reflection. Just one. Breathing. Normal. Exhausted. But as he turned to leave the bathroom, the mirror smiled. Grant stared at the mirror. His reflection was still smiling. He wasn't. He took a step back, heart thudding, then another. The reflection didn't follow. It stood there, behind the glass, frozen in that crooked grin. Then it raised one hand and slowly wrote something on the inside of the mirror. Letters formed as if dragged by a fingertip through fog. "You're on the wrong side." Grant bolted from the bathroom. The apartment looked normal. Familiar. Maya was asleep on the couch, curled under a blanket. Soft music played from her phone. Had he imagined it? Had he fallen asleep in the hallway? Dreamed the whole thing? He reached for her shoulder. Before he could touch her, she whispered, without turning around, "Don't touch me. You're not my Grant." He froze. The lights in the room dimmed slightly. She sat up, but kept her back to him. He went through the door. "I told him not to. I begged him." Grant backed away slowly. His throat was dry. "Maya, it's me." She shook her head, finally turning around, her eyes pitch black, full of stars. He made a choice. Now he watches. The television turned on by itself. Static. A black and white image of the hallway. Then room 5D. Its door opened. Inside, Grant, the real one, standing in the center of a dark room, mouth open in a silent scream, hands against the glass, like a window no one could see from the other side. Grant looked down at his hands. They were fading, becoming translucent. The walls around him stretched like paper. And then, from every surface, the mirror, the TV, the windows, he saw himself. Dozens of Grants. Trapped behind reflections. All reaching out. All staring back. And one by one, they whispered, "We didn't listen." Grant stumbled backward as the apartment collapsed inward. Not physically, but visually. The walls began to warp like melted film. Colors inverted. Angles bent the wrong way. Every surface became a mirror, and every mirror showed another him. One clawing at glass. One whispering prayers. One completely still, eyes hollow, as if he'd already accepted it. In the center of the ceiling, a crack formed. Wide, jagged, endless. It wasn't a ceiling anymore. It was a view. Down into room 5D. And in that room, Grant still stood. The original Grant. Pale. Silent. Watching. Maya's voice echoed again, not from her mouth, but from everywhere. "There are no doors, Grant. Only mirrors. And you chose the wrong one." He tried to scream, but the sound never made it out. He turned, trying to find something, anything, that looked like an exit. The apartment now spun slowly like a slow, dreamlike carousel. Every doorway led to another version of itself. Every mirror repeated his mistakes. Then he saw it. The brass plaque. Floating in the center of the air like it was being held by invisible strings. It read, "You opened the room. Now you are the room." And then, silence. The mirrors faded. The light dimmed. The world exhaled. 2 weeks later, the building was quiet again. A new couple moved into 5C. Laughing. Holding boxes. Smiling at how cheap the rent was. They never noticed the extra door across the hall. Not at first. Not until one night, around 12:04 a.m., they heard a knock. Just once. Followed by a whisper. "Can you see me now?"